The global influencer, Elon Musk. Elon Musk and the language of first principles? Welcome to a new chapter of the English Oasis. If Steve Jobs was the master of the reality distortion field, Elon Musk is the master of the reality construction field. He doesn't just want to sell you a phone. He wants to build a city on Mars and reinvent how we move on Earth. But how does one man convince thousands of engineers and millions of investors to follow him into the impossible? The secret isn't big words or corporate jargon. In fact, it's the opposite. Musk uses a linguistic strategy called first principles thinking. Today, we're going to learn how to strip away the fluff of English and speak with the undeniable power of logic. It's time to learn how to talk like a visionary architect. In the early 2000s, when Musk decided he wanted to go to Mars, he went to Russia to buy refurbished intercontinental ballistic missiles, ICBMs. The Russians laughed at him. They quoted him $8 million for a single rocket. Most people would have looked at that price and said, rockets are just too expensive. That's the way it's always been. This is called reasoning by analogy, looking at what others have done and trying to do it 10% better. But Musk didn't use analogy English. He sat down and used first principles English. He asked himself, what is a rocket made of? Aerospace-grade aluminum alloys, titanium, copper, and carbon fiber. Then he asked, what is the value of those materials on the commodity market? He discovered that the raw materials of a rocket were only 2% of the typical price. He realized that the problem wasn't the cost of the rocket, it was the cost of the process. He didn't need to buy a rocket. He needed to build a process. When he speaks to the public about SpaceX or Tesla, he doesn't use marketing speak. He uses the language of fundamentals. He breaks every complex problem down to its basic truths until the solution seems like the only logical conclusion. Elon Musk's English is unique because it is anti-jargon. While most CEOs hide behind words like synergy, optimization, and strategic alignment, Musk uses first principles linguistics, the Deconstruction Method. He starts with a truth that no one can argue with. Physics says we need X amount of energy to move Y mass. By starting with physics, he makes his argument bulletproof. Noun-heavy clarity. He uses concrete nouns and verbs. Instead of saying we are streamlining our logistical infrastructure, he says we are building a giant factory to make batteries faster. The why loop. Musk constantly asks why until he hits a physical limit. If an engineer says we do it this way because it's industry standard, Musk views that as a linguistic failure. In high-stakes meetings, avoid office speak. If you can't explain your project using the first principles, the basic why and how, without using buzzwords, you don't understand it well enough. Try this. Instead of saying, I facilitate cross-functional collaboration, Say, I make sure the designers and the engineers are talking to each other every day so we don't waste time. Imagine you have spent tens of millions of dollars on a project, and in front of millions of people watching a live stream, your product explodes into a giant fireball. For most CEOs, this is a public relations nightmare. They would apologize using soft language like unfortunate event or technical glitch to hide the shame. Elon Musk does the opposite. When the first 3 Falcon 1 rockets exploded, pushing SpaceX to the brink of bankruptcy, Musk didn't use the language of apology. He used the language of engineering. Instead of calling it a failure, SpaceX famously called it a RUD, Rapid Unscheduled Disassembly. While it sounds like a joke, it is a serious linguistic strategy. By using precise, technical terminology, Musk strips the emotion and shame out of the event. He transforms a terrifying explosion into a data point. In internal meetings following a crash, Musk doesn't ask who messed up. He asks, what did the physics tell us? This question forces engineers to stop worrying about personal blame and start focusing on solving natural laws. He turns risk into a math problem where failure is simply a necessary step in the optimization process. Musk's handling of risk through language relies on 3 pillars. Objective labeling. By replacing emotional words like disaster or terrible with technical labels, he keeps the team in solve mode rather than panic mode. It creates a culture where people are brave enough to take risks because failure has been linguistically redefined. The probability frame. Musk often says, failure is an option here. If things are not failing, you are not innovating enough. This shifts the definition of success in English communication. Success isn't not failing. Success is failing fast and learning. Future tense resilience. He always anchors a report of failure with a statement of future action. We will iterate and fix this for the next flight. He never dwells on the past. He uses English to point everyone toward the next solution. In an international environment, when you make a mistake, don't just say, I'm sorry. I failed. Learn to reframe using professional English. Don't say, the project was a disaster. Do say, we encountered a significant bottleneck, but we've identified the root cause and are pivoting our strategy to ensure the next iteration succeeds. In most giant corporations, communication follows a strict, slow chain of command. If a junior engineer has a great idea, they tell their manager, who tells their director, who tells the VP, who eventually tells the CEO. By the time the message arrives, it is diluted, distorted, and late. Elon Musk hates this. He believes that the chain of command is actually a chain of stupidity. To fix this at Tesla and SpaceX, Musk wrote a series of famous internal emails that changed the company culture forever. He didn't use the polite, indirect corporate English, typical of Fortune 500 companies. He used radical transparency. In one famous email titled Communication Within Tesla, he wrote, Anyone at Tesla can and should email, talk to anyone else according to what they think is the fastest way to solve a problem for the benefit of the whole company. You should consider yourself privileged to stay at Tesla until your performance improves. This sounds harsh, but it is true. He essentially told his managers, if you get in the way of communication, you will be fired. By using direct, high-stakes English, he removed the fear of speaking up and replaced it with the fear of slowing down. Musk's radical transparency is built on 3 linguistic techniques. The anti-hierarchy pronoun. He uses anyone and everyone to flatten the organization. He tells employees that their contribution is more important than their title. Brutal honesty, the no fluff rule. He avoids hedge words like maybe, perhaps, I think. He uses definitive verbs. You must, the goal is, this is the way. This leaves no room for misunderstanding or excuses. Efficiency as a moral good. In his English, fast is a synonym for good, and bureaucracy is a synonym for evil. He uses strong, polarized adjectives to drive home his point. Takeaway for the global citizen. In a global career, being polite can sometimes lead to being invisible or slow. While you don't need to be as harsh as Musk, you can adopt his direct clarity. Instead of, I was wondering if we might perhaps consider revisiting the timeline if everyone agrees. Weak indirect. Try. To hit our deadline, we need to move the review to Wednesday. Does anyone see a technical blocker? Direct, efficient. Most CEOs talk about the next quarter. Some talk about the next 5 years. Elon Musk talks about the next 1,000,000 years. When Musk speaks about SpaceX's mission to Mars, he doesn't use the language of exploration or adventure. Those words are too soft. They sound like a luxury. Instead, he uses the language of survival. He frames the colonization of Mars as an insurance policy for the light of consciousness. He famously said, life can't just be about solving problems. There have to be things that inspire you, that make you glad to be awake in the morning. But he follows that inspiration with a cold, logical threat. Either we become a multiplanetary species and a spacefaring civilization, or we are going to be stuck on Earth until some eventual extinction event occurs. By using this extreme binary, multiplanetary versus extinction, Musk makes the incredibly difficult task of building a city on a dead, frozen planet sound like the only sane choice for humanity. He moves the conversation from, can we do it? To, we must do it. Musk's grand-scale English is built on 3 rhetorical strategies. The moral imperative. He uses words like destiny, consciousness, and preservation. These aren't business words. They are philosophical words. They make his employees feel like they aren't just building rockets. They are saving humanity. Cosmic perspective. He often uses timescales that dwarf a human life. By talking about the 5 billion year history of Earth, he makes current political or financial problems look tiny. This helps him maintain a growth mindset even when things go wrong in the short term. High-stakes simplification. He takes the most complex engineering challenge in history and simplifies it into a transportation problem. He says, "We just need to make the rockets reusable." This makes the impossible sound like a to-do list. To lead people, you must give them a why that is bigger than their daily what. In your English, learn to connect your small tasks to a larger vision. Instead of, "I am writing a report on market trends," the task try. "I am identifying the opportunities that will allow our company to lead the industry for the next decade." The vision. If you look at the Twitter X feed of a typical Fortune 500 CEO, it is boring. It is written by a PR team. It uses safe English. We are pleased to announce our commitment to sustainability. Elon Musk deleted that playbook. He realized that in the digital age, attention is the new currency. Instead of high-priced ad agencies, Musk uses memes, slang, and internet culture. He speaks the language of the trolls and the engineers simultaneously. By using humor, often dark or absurd humor, he makes Tesla and SpaceX feel like human entities rather than cold corporations. When he launched a Tesla Roadster into space on the Falcon Heavy rocket, he didn't put a scientific sensor on the dashboard. He put a sign that said, "Don't panic," a reference to The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. He didn't just launch a car, he launched a global conversation. By using pop culture English, he turned a technical milestone into a viral moment that moved the world. Musk's Internet English is built on 3 disruptive techniques. High-low contrast. He can discuss complex orbital mechanics in one sentence and post a Doge meme in the next. This high-low shift makes him appear approachable and authentic. It signals that he is one of us, not a suit in a boardroom. Short-form impact. Musk masters the art of the micro-statement. He uses short, punchy, and often controversial sentences to trigger engagement. In the algorithm-driven world, a 3-word tweet is often more powerful than a 10-page press release. Irony and sarcasm. He uses English to mock his competitors and critics. While traditional English teaches us to be diplomatic, Musk uses aggressive wit to define his brand as the disruptor. He doesn't defend. He attacks with humor. The professional standard is changing. While you shouldn't be a troll at work, you can learn from Musk's authenticity. The lesson: don't be afraid to show your personality in your English. Use analogies from movies you love, or use a bit of humor in your presentations. The rule: people follow people, not corporations. Your unique voice, even if it's a bit informal, is what makes you memorable in a sea of safe English. Elon Musk's journey shows us that English is a tool for construction. Whether he is using first principles to build a rocket or memes to build a fan base, he uses words to move physical and digital reality. He doesn't follow the rules of language. He makes the language work for his vision. Think about your biggest goal. If you had to explain it to a 10-year-old using only first principles, no jargon, just facts, how would you say it? Join the Oasis. We've covered the beauty of Jobs and the logic of Musk. Who is next? If you want to continue mastering the English of the world's most powerful influencers, hit that like button and subscribe. Don't just speak the language. Rule the frontier. Stay global, stay curious, and keep building. We'll see you in the next story.